Let's see. Are we live? We are. Yay. Hello. It's been so long since I painted with you. I don't know. I feel like it's been at least 2 months. Um, Life has been crazy, but I have a new camera and hopefully you can see things better. But we're trying it out. You know me, I'm not fabulous with tech. Also, if you have emailed me and it got buried, I am so sorry. I haven't figured out the template stuff, so I'm not doing any more templates. I'm just going to draw them on the canvas because that is really so much easier. This I started to use for something, but I don't know exactly what I was doing with it. So I'm going to start today with a 12 by 12 canvas, okay? And we'll pop this up just a little bit. And we're just going to play around. I taught a painting similar to this around 5 or 6 years ago. And I thought it'd be a great one to do. So we'll do this. It looks like I was doing a cup of some sort, but I'm going to do a mountain lake. So the first thing I'm going to do is basically and I do not suggest that you draw on your canvas using a paint marker. But for YouTube land, it works really well. I'm also going to do a little mountain. So I will do the mountain in the middle, but I'm not going to worry about that now. The other thing I'm going to do is little, do I want it like this or do I want it like that? No, I'm going to go like this. So basically the idea is I'm going to do larger and larger, but I want a reflection. So I'm going to kind of do a reflection that matches. Does that make sense? I hope. And I'm going to come over here and we can go woo doo 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 doo, and then I'm going to get bigger again and large. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then maybe I make a short one because I don't like anything too perfect. Good. And then I'm going to do one on my sides because that's what I do. And then down here, we'll do some foliage. We'll do the mountain and the sky and some trees and some water. It's going to be good. All right. So today I've got a little phthalo blue. Nice. And some twine. So phthalo blue. This is, I can't get my typical phthalo green from one of my favorite suppliers. So I happen to have this is craft paint. And I added a little bit, did I add anything to this? Yes, I added a little bit of ultramarine blue because I never use that color. And it spruces up the green a little bit. This is a purple lake, but feel free to do any of the darker purples. No lavenders, though. I guess you could do lavender, but if you mix it with the green, it won't really work. This is a cheapo magenta, and it actually just says red. Red. That's all it says. I always suggest that if you're going to go swanky on any colors, it should be burnt sienna and yellow ochre. And while blues are awesome, phthalo blue, a good phthalo blue, everything else you can sort of fake. But that's what I'm going to start with. I don't think we're going to use anything else. But let's do it. I had my kids cut my hair, so it was a little shorter than I thought, but it was really fun. We had a great night. So I'm going to grab just a good wash brush. Ooh, and I better grab myself some paper towels. Here I go. And a water. Okay. I am back in action. A little water. And we ride. So the first thing I'm going to do is sky. Super easy peasy. I'm going to grab a little phthalo blue. And I always grab my colors from the edge. Okay. And I'm going to go, yes, I'm going to go and just do a lot of white in here. Get your sides and the top. You don't want anything left without a little color. And I'm going to do something like that, I think, where it's not too blendy. If I find that I want blendy, I can always do that later. But I think that is going to be great. See, you don't have to get all fancy schmancy. You can get all fancy schmancy, but you have to sort of decide, yes, I want to be fancy schmancy. Okay, but but today I don't. Today I pretty much, I don't know, I think I just want to sit in front of the TV maybe and play Zelda and eat pizza. So, oh, it's so good. I don't know what it is. All right. But instead I'm drinking tea and green juice and yeah. All right. So we've got a little sky. That was fantastic. You know, I think I could be wrong, but I feel like this has, oh, my new camera has like a little, oh, wait. Hey, look at that. It's a little flippy flappy. Oh, it was through there. Okay. Well, it didn't matter anyway. Good to know. The other thing I'm going to do is I want to start down here and I'm going to go all dark and moody. And then I think I'm going to brighten it up as it comes forward. We'll just see. We'll play around. So I'm getting my phthalo blue and I'm going to go right through that tree line. And you guys can all draw a stick. I really feel confident that you can draw a straight line. So don't worry about this. I'm just going to do this sort of thing. And this is my water line, okay? And I'm going to go and give a nice solid line through my water line or through my trees. Don't worry about it. And then I'm going to grab, then I'll grab a little blue and white again. Okay, so I'm grabbing some phthalo and I'm going to go straight across because for me, I just like painting. I do like doing choppy oceans and stuff. Sometimes these beautiful nature scenes, maybe I just want something serene and lovely. And then it's a little lighter now. I'm going to grab a nice hunk and go straight across. And I'm going to bring it mostly in the middle. On the sides here, I'm not too worried. And I'm going straight again as horizontally as I can. Again, I like a little movement on this water. Bring that on in. Good. And these corners, like I said, we're going to do some foliage. Easy peasy foliage stuff. Whoa. And then throw that in there. Okay, how are we doing? I think that feels pretty okay. Okay. And these are just base coats. You can add as you will. Do. Okay, so I do want this to dry just a little bit. And I say we start a little mountain. Dirty brush, phthalo blue. And you can do it. I'm going to start small and then build. And the reason I'm going to do that is just because I'm going to show you an easy way to do, like if you want to do a mountain, you can go, you know, something like that. And then you can come down and you can wipe your brush off. Grab a hunk of white and bring it down, right? You can totally do that. Okay, and then in here. So you could totally do something like that. And really nice, calm. And just do something distant, okay? But you also could get a little more with it where you're like, all right, there's some things in there. Just little bits. Don't get too crazy pants. And then I'm going to take a little white and do maybe the other side. Like maybe I come down this way. I don't know. We'll see. And then just whoa. Something like that. Just really easy. So if worse comes to worse and you're not digging your mountain, just go and take a little, see if I can do it. Do I have a sheet of paper? Yes. Just do your darker hills or mountains, okay? And just soften with the white paint. Let's see if I can get a good, whoa. Now let's make that mountain now. I've lost it. There we go. And just soften, okay? You don't have to break your back for a little mountain action, okay? Whoa. So you can just do something easy peasy, and that's great. That looks great, okay? So don't worry about getting too fancy schmancy in here. You can easily just do something like this, and that's going to be really fun. But I'm going to, I think that's kind of how I'm going to leave it. Now, I really want to get started on some trees. So I'm going to just wipe off my brush. Yeah, and you could totally change brushes, and I think that might actually be a way to go. Now, I'm going to add a little green. I'm going to add a little dark blue. You could add a little purple. That'd be pretty too. All of the above. And I'm going to give myself lines to follow that are approximately the same. Whew. That way, I know my land line is here. Okay. And my trees, and a little, like changing the brush would probably help tremendously, because you can't make the shorter ones with this for sure. Okay. And then I'm just going to come in, tap those in. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to wipe that brush off. I'm going to grab a smaller brush. And I like this medium brush. Okay, so it's a 1/2 inch wash brush. And you could use this guy. For me, I like the chisel. I'm all about a little bit of a chisel. But you could use something like this brush has been around with me for years now. And it's a little more dabby. So if you want fluffy, that's the way to go. If you want something neat and precise, that's the way to go. And I'll kind of show you neat and precise first. And I'm going to grab a little bit of this. And I think I'm going with purple this time, because I just love the combo that they make. And I'm going to start with just the corner and just tap that in. And I'm going to make the tree skinnier than I think I want it, because it's easy to add, it's hard to take away. I'm going to do the same thing backwards. Now, if you find that doing the reflection gets tricky for you, then just flip it over. Does that make sense? Flip it over. So again, I'm pulling out a little bit. You could use black instead of purple, or if you have a dark green that you love, you could do that too. I'm going to actually go to the side before I forget. Okay. And I'm going to start on the top, just add. Now, if you want to change to a fluffier brush, it's basically the same idea. You're just going to start and then fluff it up. So you're also going to find that if you have wet paint underneath, they're softer. And for me, I love that because they're distant. And so I don't want them to be like extremely, whoa, I'm right here and you can see every little deal. Okay. And I'm going to move that down. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the idea. Okay. Is that making sense? I'm going to pull this close. Okay. Easy peasy. Everyone is going to have a different tree, and that's all right. So I'm going to go in and just tap in a few more. And the only problem for me with this bushy one, I'll do the sides and stuff because I like doing the bigger trees, but I don't like doing the larger trees with it. Or sorry, the smaller trees, because I just can't get a good. Okay. Okay. So feel free to play with this, and I will highlight these trees later. I'm not going to worry about it now because they highlight better when they're dry. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush and just tap in. Whoops. Okay. Good. And like I said, if it's not working for you, turn it over. The reflection is hard. And here's the important part of a tree. If it doesn't look right, ask yourself, is the top skinnier than the bottom? Because so often I do have people that do these really nice, more arborvitae kind of a situation. But just put a little right on the top there. Okay, and just practice. You'll get it. And once you get it, easy peasy. I'm just going to pull that through. So let's see if you can see that. Pulling that through. Okay. And again, I'm going in here. This one doesn't have enough dark for me. So good. And then pulling that in. Oh, I want to top that guy. Good. Okay. And just like little fluffy triangles. Okay. Then little upside down fluffy triangles. Oh my goodness, it's working. It's working, people. It's very exciting. Okay. And good. All right. We're going to let that dry. I think we're in good shape. I'm going to give you a memento. I'm going to have a sipperoo of water. Now, I have to say, I saw a sunset yesterday that was just unbelievable. And the entire sky was pink and orange. And I'm really tempted to do that. I'm not. I'm going to do another one that's pink and orange. But for now, I think this is good. And I'm going to start down here a little bit. So I'm going to grab just whatever brush I love the most, which is kind of a medium. And for me, I'm going with something that's a little more well-loved. But if I were going to go with something chiseled, it would be this 1/2 inch wash. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But this guy, he just gives me a really, really nice landscapey kind of feel rather than the chisel. So what I'm going to do down here is add a little bit of brown and a little bit, well, you'll see. I'm going to add a little green. And I'm just going to mess this up so it's not all one color. I hope that makes sense. You could also add, oh, if you happen to have black, and you can add black to that, and it is dynamite. It's actually why I like burnt sienna so much. So all I'm doing, I'm going to take a little black. I'm going to throw in some stuff. Okay, so I've got my bottoms and the side basically covered. Okay. And then I'm going to go. No, seriously, I think sound effects help. But I'm going to pull this up. And this can be partially green, but I like the red towards the bottom and then add little bits of green. And I'm going to start, I'm using a lot of paint, okay? And I've got, like if you're using your flat brush, grab your paint and you're flicking it up. So you're using the side, okay? And you can do this sort of thing. Woo! It's actually really fun. You can grab some black. I mean, any of that stuff works really well in here right now. Okay, like, whoa. Now, this is just a base coat, and I'll tell you why it's just a base coat. At the end, I do want to put in, oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, just make sure. That's fun. I mean, that is just going to be fun. Okay, so now you could, if you want, instead of the straight up, you could give it a bit of a bushy bush. You could go woo and just dab-a-roo. I just don't want to dab for me. I've already dabbed enough today. Oh, maybe I do want to dab. I don't know. Okay, but I think I'm actually just going to stick with the, just moving it up. It's this lovely. Maybe a little black in there, just a hint, just to deepen that color. But I think that's really fun. And don't forget your sides, because it's such a bummer when you've done a lot of work only to find out you're finished and you're not finished. And then you're trying to match colors and it's not really that great. Okay. So that's good. If you want them more symmetrical, go for it. I'm not that kind of gal. If you are, or if you're that kind of painter, by all means, do it. I like that. I think that's going to be super fun. So pretty. Good. Okay, so sometimes the bummer is I am a slightly fast painter and it's a tiny canvas. So it hasn't had time to really dry. And I think what I'm going to do is just give it a minute let it set up, because I would like to highlight, well, stop. I'd like to highlight and then put foliage and flowers in here, and then do a little bit more highlight on our water and differentiate the land from the water. So I'm going to give it a minute and then I'll be back to continue. Okay, my friends, I'm back, and it's not dry, but we're going to call that pretty good. So in here, I'm going to take, oops, I am actually going to wash off my brush because it's pretty caked on. And you can use whatever brush you want. I think I'm going to go with my small one here. This is a 1/4 inch, but it's not like a 1/4 inch if you were measuring to, you know, actually build something. I'm going to come in. I'm going to grab a little green. Now, if you have a brighter green, you could totally use the brighter green. I'm just going to make a little bit of a lighter green with white and green and tap a little bit on this. I don't know if you can see this okay. Let's see if I can get it a little closer for you. Do, do, do. A little closer. Do, 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 do. And I'm just doing one side. So I think that's good. And hopefully and this is kind of fun. And I'm getting more white than I would like, but that's okay. And then I'm going to do a little of the same thing on the bottom. Is that good? That is a little much. I'll take that off. Okay. Good. And I'm going to see if I can shift that just a little bit. I'm going to see if we can turn off this light. Sometimes when I do the highlight, let's see. There we go. You can kind of see the highlights a little bit, hopefully. Okay, so I'm grabbing my light green, which is just green and white, and I'm going to pop in just one side. Just little bits. Does that make sense? You can see that, and then little bits here. Okay. Good. So now we've got a good highlight among our trees. And I'm going to let that dry. And we're going to work on the front. All right. So again, everything is still really, really wet, but that's okay. That's okay for me. I'm going to take, I love a bright green. So if you happen to have a bright green, like this is from another painting I just did, but if you have like a really bright, bright green, something fun, you can pop it in. And I'm going to switch to a larger brush because for me, that just does not do it. And I'm going to go with a 1/2 inch wash brush. I'm going to turn this light back on. And there we go. And then, yeah, and I'm going to pop that on. And I'm going to go whoosh, 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 whoosh. And I'm going to alternate between that dark green and then, oops, wrong palette, but same colors. And pop it up there. And then I'm going to grab some of this yellow ochre and move it up. Now you can do, I am starting down low and feathering it up. And it's kind of like a golf swing, okay? Or, you know, when you're swinging a bat, you want to keep the stroke going even after you've left the canvas. Okay, good. And so let's see if you can see that nice and close up. So let's see if I can do it with my right hand, where I'm pushing up. And we're going to do this, whoosh, 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 and then bum, 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 bum. And I'm going to take dark green, so you can see that I started a little higher, and now I'm going to start a little lower. And I think I'm probably going to add some purple in here. I'm going to grab some of my purple lake, but there are some really beautiful purples out there you could easily add. I'm going to go with both. And then you can always add more green, but just those extra colors really, really help. Okay, so I'm going to wipe off. Now you can do this with a large brush. Most people like the smaller brush. I typically like the medium brush when I'm adding flowers, but I thought this would be super fun. So I'm gonna, this time I've got a nice amount, a nice dollop, if you will. And see if I can bring this a little closer. And you can kind of see how it's going. You can just pop in a little bit like that. Now I'm going to take a little, I'm going to do, I want a peachy color. So I'm taking my magenta and my yellow and show you what I did just to get that color. I added a little of that yellow ochre and a little of the magenta. And you could go straight pink if you wanted to. That's beautiful as well. I'm going to grab a little more of this. And I don't stir. I typically tend to pull straight out. And then I'm going to pop this in, because I feel like that is a really fun color. I'm going to let the paint run out on the brush. This is going to give a really lovely feel to all of that. And my green, by the way, look how much green is in there. Can you see it? It's a ton of green. Don't worry about it. Like, it looks great. And then maybe I'll grab a little more of this. And I'm going to grab a little more white and pop in some really fun highlights there. And I don't touch the spots. Now I'm going to wash it off because I want to make some more peach. But I don't touch those spots that I've touched. So once I go over a spot, I leave it alone. Okay. I'll leave it alone. And I'm going to pop in. Oh, I just love that color. So again, I'm going to make some more and try to stay away from the green. It's not a huge deal if it's in there, but it's still nice if it's not. A little more white. Got some blue in there. You guys, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But I do want more white, and I'm starting to run out of white. So I've grabbed some from this section. Good. A little more white. And you can see I'm not covering stuff up. I'm just adding. Again, a little more white. So I've got a real nice light peachy peach going on. Just adding some of them. And that just gives us some depth, right? It looks like it's closer in some spots and farther away in others. Okay, I really like that. I'm going to sneak in the tiniest bit of purple, of light purple in here, because that's such an easy color to see out in the wild. It's great. Okay. And you can come in. Something seems like it's not quite. Good. All right, let's see. Simple, simple. Easy peasy. So I do want to make a quick distinction between the land and the water. Throw a few highlights on there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my medium wash brush. And I really want, you could use a filbert for this. I'm going to use my flat because it is just going to help me a little bit. Now I'm going to come in and grab some of my white. Maybe I'll do it on this messy palette. And now some of my white has pink. I actually don't really care. It's going to be fine. And I don't want too much on my brush. And now I'm left-handed. If you're right-handed, you'll probably tip this way. I'm left-handed. I'm going to tip this way. And give a little tap. And I'm going to come straight through. It's not a bright line. Do you see that? I just gave a little line right there. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to add a little more white. Just really tap it in. Because I want you to be able to feel. I'm going to add a little more. And this really does work best when it's dry. So I'm just adding as horizontally as I can a few little lines that say I'm water. And if you are just getting nothing but green, just take a little time, let it dry, come back. Okay. And it's really fun to do. Now, the other really great thing about letting it dry is that if you don't love it, you have a couple seconds to wipe it off. Mine is not dry, so I'm taking a little chance here. Okay. Maybe get it in here. So that's kind of fun. And you can always grab a little more blue. You can come in and add dark spots. I mean, there's kind of no end. You can really go to town on this thing. All right, so I'm just going to hold it a little closer. And you can go brighter with those highlights later, or you can call that just beautiful. And it's quite lovely, you know, and really simple. Everyone can totally do this, you know, no problem here. So I am going to sneak in, because I can't help it. I think I'm going to sneak in the tiniest, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. The tiniest bit of that magenta-y color, and I'm going to go right over my tree. It's going to be just down in the low here. And we're going to see if we like it. And if we do, great. If not, well, we learned something. I actually think it should probably be more of this color. And then do this where I've got this. I'm just going to soften. Let's see if there's a little something over that hill. A little something special. Good. Okay. And then I'll tap my trees back in. My tree got a little weird there. Okay. Just see how it is. Good. All right. Oh, it's kind of fun. And you can leave it alone now, but it's really hard for me to leave it alone. So I'm probably going to do a little something, right? Just to see. Do I like it? Do I not? And I do, because I can't stop. So, all right, sign it in the bottom and just have fun. And like I said, if you need to contact me, you can do Roxie Allen at roxieallenarts.com. And that is sure to get to me. I know a lot of people tried to get a hold of me on my website, and for some reason, I don't get all of those. So I had a couple people contact me through Facebook instead, and that's good, but I only check it twice a day. And I really do love the Roxie Allen at roxieallenarts.com, because it just comes right to my phone and I can see it. And as far as I know, I haven't missed anyone on that. So happy painting. Remember, use what you've got and have some fun. Post some pictures. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.